Hello and welcome. Good evening. Namaste, Namaskaram, Namaskara. You're watching India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal on 5 Live this evening. The final hour of polling in phase 2. We've got our anchors spread across the country. It's some of the most crucial seats and most crucial states that are polling right now. To get you a roundup of all the political activity that we witnessed in these states. Over the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the details you need to know about, in fact, the election that's happened and what's expected over the next 1 hour. Poulomi Saha is live from Thiruvananthapuram. We've got Pooja Shali from Meerut and Nabila Jamal from Bengaluru. Each of them will be breaking down what's happening in their respective states, and we'll be focusing, of course, on the voter turnout as well. 1 hour, the final leg of polling in phase 2 that we're going to be witnessing. And join us live here on India Today for every single update on that. Let's begin with the overall voter turnout numbers. Even as voting is underway, the overall voter turnout that's been released by the Election Commission stands at 50.25%. Note here that this is the voter turnout up until 3 p.m. So the last 2 hours, the EC is still going through that data. You can expect in about 2 hours from now a more concrete figure of what the overall voter turnout will look like in phase 2. But going by this figure, and if you compare it to phase 1, it definitely looks like voting is much better in phase 2, which is a good sign. But even as we speak, the voting is underway in these 88 seats across 13 states. Let's hope that in the last leg, the final 1 hour, we see a lot more people stepping out as the sun goes down. It's getting cooler. So if you haven't cast your vote just yet and your seat is polling today, go out there and exercise your franchise. Ensure your voice is heard. All right, let's take this state by state. The state of Kerala first. Yende Keralam, 20 seats up for grabs in Kerala. The entire state is polling as we speak. A quick look at the numbers around me here. I wasn't unfortunately able to make it to Kerala, so I brought Kerala to me here in our studios. This is how things look back in 2019. We broke it down party-wise for you, and essentially the LDF managed to get only 1 seat out of the 20, which is why this is a huge challenge for Pinarayi Vijayan, for the LDF. We'll track all of that, but let's now get you the voter turnout in Kerala. What are the numbers looking like in Kerala? Some of the faces that you need to watch out for in the state of Kerala on your screens right now. Of course, everyone's talking about the seat of Wayanad in North Kerala because you've got Rahul Gandhi there. And he's up against Annie Raja, who's been fielded. She's with the CPI, so this seat was given to the CPI. She is also fighting in Wayanad. A three-way battle, many say, because you've got K. Surendran, the Kerala BJP chief, the BJP's poster boy in Kerala, also taking on Rahul Gandhi. But the question is, what kind of a victory margin can Rahul Gandhi actually ensure in Wayanad? Some of the other faces to watch out for: K.C. Venugopal in Alappuzha. You've got Anil Antony in Pathanamthitta, which is a Congress bastion. V. Muralidharan, Union Minister, who's fighting from Athingal in Kerala. All of them are, in fact, from Kerala. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who is locked in a very, very interesting and intense three-way battle for Thiruvananthapuram, along with incumbent MP Shashi Tharoor and Panyan Ravindran of the left. So that particular fight also very, very crucial. I want to take this across now to Poulomi Saha, who's joining us live from Thiruvananthapuram. Poulomi, Namaskaram. What's the voter turnout looking like? Take it away.
Namaskaram, Akshita. The voter turnout is a little, slow, unexpected, is what our colleague Shibi Mole has been telling me, because she covers the state much, much more closely. At the moment, of course, at last update from the Chief Electoral Officer's office, we were told that it stands at about 57%. It hopes, the CEO's office hopes that, we will reach, Kerala will reach the 70% mark as far as, the voter turnout is concerned. But as far as the larger picture is concerned, this is slower in comparison to 2019, when the number stood at 81%, a staggering 81% had stepped out. This time, of course, the concerns around the heat wave, yellow alert in certain districts of Kerala, because of which people may have not stepped out, especially because the elderly, we've got reports coming in from certain states, certain districts of Kerala, that they've taken ill because of the sun, which has been unsparing here in Kerala. But despite that, kudos to all the candidates, all 194 of them in the electoral fray, who campaigned through the scorching heat, and to the voters who've stepped out to cast their ballot. Let's listen in to many of these candidates, in fact, who were in the political fray, in the electoral fray. That includes, of course, here, right here from Thiruvananthapuram, some of the very prominent and high-profile faces, which includes Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who fought on a BJP ticket, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who fought on a Congress ticket and is seeking re-election for a fourth consecutive term, as well as many others like KC Venugopal, like Anil K. Antony, V.D. Satheesan. Listen in. So earlier you did mention about the fact that you're up against a three-time parliamentarian, and the candidate from the left is not exactly pulling his hat out of the ring. So it's a three-cornered, interesting fight in Thiruvananthapuram, sir.
Yes, it is a three-cornered fight. Even though it's a three-cornered fight, we all know very clearly that the CPI and the Congress are chai samosa buddies of the India Alliance. And so while it may look like a three-cornered fight, and there are three candidates, there is really very little difference between what the Congress and the CPI candidates offer to the people of Thiruvananthapuram. They have been given many opportunities in the past, in particular the Congress, and they have very little to show for it. So I think this is an issue to do with people giving opportunities to leaders and what they have done with it, and therefore me going to the people and saying, look, you've given these people opportunities, they have done very little with your trust. Give me an opportunity, trust me for one term, and let me show you, as I have put out in as a document, what we can do for the future of Thiruvananthapuram and for the lives of all the people who have suffered for so many years, including those in the coastal community.
KC Venugopal ने सुबह ही कह दिया है कि विक्ट्री मार्जिन जो है 4,31,000 से ज्यादा ऊपर जाने वाला है राहुल गांधी का.
Nothing doing. Rahul Gandhi will lose this constituency this time. What happened in Amethi 2019 will repeat in Wayanad this time. That much anger of public against Rahul Gandhi. He is betraying the people. See, after 6 p.m. today, the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi will announce his candidature in Amethi. राहुल गांधी जी का टूरिस्ट वीजा है ना, मुझे परमानेंट वीजा है. आज शाम 6 बजे के पास बाद राहुल गांधी जी का कैंडिडेचर विल अनाउंस अमेठी. सो राहुल गांधी बिट्रेड वायनाड. पिछले महीने राहुल गांधी जी ने बोला वायनाड मेरा परिवार. 50 साल राहुल गांधी फैमिली ने बोला अमेठी मेरा परिवार. सो बीच बीच में ये परिवार बदलता है ना. So Rahul Gandhi's double game, hypocrisy, betrayal. So now Wayanad people are saying bye bye Rahul, welcome Modi.
Sir, you've casted your vote. The state of Kerala is casting their vote. Are you satisfied and confident with your campaign?
Yeah, what I've been doing is after voting, I've been up and down the constituency, and I'm continuing for the next couple of hours, just to see that there have been no problems, no incidents, no complaints, that people are turning up in good numbers. We have people manning our booth counters everywhere, before going into the booths for people to vote. They are very excited, happy. Turnout is good of people who are supporting us, and we are expecting a good result.
Sir, you said in the morning that you're the only one who is voting in Thiruvananthapuram. The other two candidates, Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Pannian Selvan, are not voting in Thiruvananthapuram. Was it a message that you are the person of Thiruvananthapuram, you belong here?
Well, it certainly struck me that some of the comments being made by others deserved a fitting reply, in that at least the question of my commitment to Thiruvananthapuram is visibly demonstrated. I voted in every election here, whether a state, assembly or municipality. I come, I stay, I vote. I have no address anywhere else in the world other than a Sarkari Bangala, which is because of the kindness of the voters of Thiruvananthapuram. And therefore, I'm here and I wanted to show them that my commitment to Thiruvananthapuram is absolute.
So you re-entering the Lok Sabha hurdle, you're expecting to sweep the UDF with Congress, expecting to sweep Kerala?
Certainly, we are going to sweep. That is what the ground report. I'm not telling with my words. I'm not an astrologer, but the field report is very clear. I think you also, media reports are also there. we are going to sweep entire Kerala.
Sir, after first phase, the Prime Minister attacked the manifesto of the Congress party repeatedly, not once, twice, thrice. What do you have to say about that?
That he is very much worried about the first phase of election. The ground report is like that also. We are winning seats, maximum seats. The Prime Minister is panicking. That is why he is abusing Congress party and our manifesto. On the other hand, it is good. He is talking about our manifesto. Manifesto, this is not the manifesto. Manifesto is a big things are there. 5 guarantees are there. That, I think, let the Prime Minister publish it.
Rahul Gandhi increasing his vote margin in Wayanad?
Certainly, because Rahul Gandhi is the person who is fighting for democracy in this country, who is fighting for constitution of in this country, who is fighting for good government in this country, who is fighting for poor people of this country.
So there you heard from some of the most notable candidates in these elections here in Kerala, the Lok Sabha elections that are happening for 20 Lok Sabha seats. As far as the results of 2019 are concerned, the UDF swept the elections. The Congress grabbed 15 of the 20 seats. The IUML, which supports the Congress party, is part of the UDF, got 2 seats. The CPM was able to only score 1 seat in the election and others got 2 seats. So that's how it stood. UDF scored 19 out of 20. They hope to make it 20 out of 20 this time round, but not without a fight from the left front and the Bharatiya Janata Party. As far as key candidates are concerned, one of those key battles is being fought right here in Thiruvananthapuram, the capital of Kerala, where I'm standing. Dr. Shashi Tharoor is seeking re-election from here. He's been a member of parliament from Thiruvananthapuram for 3 terms, and now he hopes it will be a 4th term. Lucky for, in fact, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. He, of course, represents the Congress party. Facing off against him, BJP's the candidate for these elections, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Union Minister, trying his electoral luck this time round for the first time. And then, of course, there is CPI's Paniyan Ravindran as well. As far as Wayanad is concerned, another high-profile constituency, because one of the most high-profile Congress faces is contesting from Wayanad, and that is Rahul Gandhi, who won from Wayanad in 2019, is seeking re-election for a second consecutive term from Wayanad. And then, of course, facing off against him is CPI's Annie Raja, who's part of the National Committee as far as the Executive Committee of the CPI is concerned. She's D. Raja's wife as well, the party's General Secretary. And then, of course, BJP's K. Surendran, who's the state chief of the party from Kerala, is in fact taking on the two of them. He's taking on Annie Raja and he's taking on Rahul Gandhi. Joining me right now is my colleague KG Shibi Mole, who tracks the state of Kerala for us very, very closely. Shibi, I'm guessing you must be heaving a sigh of relief a couple of months, a month at least, a little more than a month, in fact, since, of course, the elections were announced mid-March. Finally, that campaign came to an end 2 days ago, and today polling in a couple of minutes, in fact, not a couple of minutes, at least 45 minutes from now, will, in fact, come to an end. Shibi, if you can hear me, this could possibly mean that a job well done for you. Finally, you can heave a sigh of relief, because the heat over here in Kerala has been unsparing, and some of that has reflected in the voting percentage as well, Shibi.
Oh, well, Paulmi, that's absolutely right. And that's exactly what is reflecting in the polling percentage also. You were earlier saying, kudos to the candidates. I want to say kudos to you and me and all of us who were covering this also since the last 2 months. It's been extremely hot since the last 2 months, especially in certain areas, specifically in Thiruvananthapuram, Palakkad and all that. But yes, the polling percentage, we have crossed 60% is what the Election Commission is telling us as of now. 60%, and in Thiruvananthapuram, it stands at 58%. In fact, since we are in Thiruvananthapuram, I was just checking the breakup of the constituencies, the assembly constituencies, and there has been a less turnout in the urban vote. So urban vote is mostly the BJP stronghold vote share. The BJP stronghold Neamam has registered good amount of votes, but the voter turnout is pretty good. But the urban votes in the city, it has been comparatively very less in comparison to the other areas, especially the coastal vote bank, which is a stronghold of the Congress. So I was just checking that. So the urban voters have been not, coming out like we expected today to cast their vote is what we're understanding from Thiruvananthapuram's breakup. But yes, overall, in other constituencies, what we are understanding is that in other constituencies like Northern Kerala, Kannur, all these places, we're hearing that the last 1 hour from 5 o'clock, there's been a rush, especially with the elderly people coming out to vote in huge numbers, because so many times we heard that in the early morning, a lot of them had come. There were long queues because of the heat. To avoid the heat, the people had come in large numbers in the morning to cast their vote, and some of them had to go back because of the long queues, and we're planning to come back later, which might have not also happened. That's probably why we've not seen. It was very dull and dry in the afternoon phase. So probably since it's crossed 60 is what we're understanding. So by 6 o'clock, it should stand nearby close to 70, or anyways not reaching the target, not reaching the voter turnout that Kerala registered in 2019, which was 81, which could be concerning for certain parties. We'll have to verify constituency-wise, which all, and when we look at the breakup, we'll perfectly get an answer as to which all parties can feel relaxed and can feel really worried about the voter turnout, because Kerala generally has good voter turnout in comparison to other states. So this time it's a bit lacking, so probably it might be concerning for many parties here.
Right. Okay, so 81% in 2019. Will it match up to that? Unlikely, given the numbers as they stand right now. We hope, of course, that the numbers are enthusing for the Election Commission of India conducting elections through these 7 phases. Shibi Mole, thank you so much for joining us with all of those details. Over to you, Akshita, in the studio. That's all from me here in Thiruvananthapuram.
Thanks very much, Paulami. I just want to kind of break down what Shibi was telling us as well with regards to the voter turnout and what that looks like. Let's break that down for you, because we'll be able to track on the election intelligence dashboard what the voter turnout has looked like previously versus currently. And remember that this is data that we're looking at for till 3 p.m. So there's still a lot more data that's coming in from the Election Commission. You can see, in fact, that as far as Kerala goes, these are the numbers. The last time around was 78%, and it's always hovered around that number, averaging around 75% or so. Right now, as of 3 p.m., it's at 52%. So hopefully that number will go up. Should easily touch the 70s mark, but will it go above 78 is the question. Just to also focus on some of the constituencies that there's been a lot of focus on, including Wayanad. Look at the healthy voter turnout in Wayanad in 2019, which was at 80%. This was the first time that Rahul Gandhi, of course, contested from Wayanad, which is why from 73 went up to 80. Now it's at 58%. But like I said, this is still 3 p.m. So in the next few hours, we should be able to get fresh data from the Election Commission that will help break that down further. Thiruvananthapuram, the urban seat. Unfortunately, even in Kerala, much like every other part of the country, it's the cities that let us down. Because you look at those numbers and you compare it to a Wayanad, for example, where it was 80% in 2019. In Thiruvananthapuram, it was 74%. Before that, all in the 60s. As of now, it's at 48%. And this is again till 3 p.m. The numbers will, of course, build up, but will we reach 70 plus is the question in Thiruvananthapuram. Of course, there's a lot to read into as far as voter turnout is concerned. There are some who suggest that, this is a trend that favors the party that had maximum seats. There are some who say that, it indicates that there's some anti-incumbency. We're not going to go into that because there's a lot of back and forth on that polemic. But this is what the voter turnout looks like as of now, particularly compared to the last few elections, Polemic.
Right. Of course, we'll find out by the end of the day what that voter turnout looks like for the second phase of the Lok Sabha elections, and specifically for the state of Kerala, which went to polls today, is still, in fact, casting its ballot as we speak. Several celebrities, in fact, stepped out in order to make their voices heard today. That included State Minister and actor Ganesh Kumar, who urged voters to step out and exercise their franchise. Similarly, famous Malayalam actor Tuvino Thomas also stepped out to exercise his franchise. He asked everyone to make their votes count, to not let the heat come in the way of them using their opportunity to, in fact, express their voice. And then there was, of course, ISRO Chairman S. Somnath as well, who came out to cast his ballot as well, again urging everyone to step out. So many of those celebrities leading the way from the front, asking voters to come out, not let the sun, the heat come in the way, because this is their only opportunity to ensure that their choice matters, that that they are able to send an elected representative of their choice to the House of People, to the Lok Sabha.
I'm very happy to vote today for the Lok Sabha election from Trivandrum constituency. This has been my regular place for my voting. So I'm very happy to come over here in the morning and then cast my vote.
നമുക്ക് ആകെ കുറച്ച് ഓപ്ഷൻസേ കിട്ടുന്നുള്ളൂ. അതിൽ നിന്ന് ഏറ്റവും നല്ലത് നോക്കി തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഒരു ഓപ്ഷൻ. അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് താല്പര്യമില്ലെങ്കിൽ നോട്ട് ആകുക എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഓപ്ഷനുണ്ട്. ഇത് ഇങ്ങനെ ഓപ്ഷനുണ്ട്, ഇതൊന്നും ഉപയോഗിക്കാതിരിക്കരുത് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എനിക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്. റൈറ്റ് ആൾക്കാരെ തന്നെ തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കുക. നമ്മളുടെയും നമ്മുടെ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ജനറേഷൻസിൻ്റെയും ഒക്കെ ഗുണത്തിനും വെൽബീയിങ്ങിനും അത് ഭയങ്കര ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നീട് വിഷമിക്കേണ്ടി വരും എന്നുള്ളത് മാത്രമാണ്.
Okay, so some of the big faces in Kerala there who've just cast their vote, also saying that everyone should come out and vote last few moments. So please get out there and vote if you haven't, Kerala. Thanks very much, Paul May, for those updates. As you can see, we're taking you straight across now to the state of Karnataka as well, with the backdrop of the beautiful Mysore Palace behind me. Let's quickly run you through the 2019 numbers. This particular phase, of course, Karnataka has 14 of the 28 seats currently voting, and largely South Karnataka was saffron, except for one seat which the Congress had. You look at JDS and the other seat there, all with the BJP, considering that the JDS is in an alliance with the BJP this time. The other one seat was the Mandya seat, in which you had independent MLA Sumalata Ambrish, who's now joined the BJP as well. So essentially, one seat for the Congress, which was Bangalore Rural. Nabila Jamal is joining us live from Namma Bengaluru, from the beautiful Vidhana Sauda, to get you all the latest updates.
Well, thanks, Akshita. There you have it. It's a clear contest at this point between the JDS and the BJP as one alliance unit against the Congress party here. Out of 28 seats in Karnataka, we know that the BJP managed to win 25 plus one independent candidate that they supported, Sumalata, who won from Mandya, and one was won by the JDS and one by the Congress. So at this point, the Congress is really looking to up their tally. But what's really disappointing, as 14 seats in Karnataka goes to elections, we're looking at the southern parts of Karnataka along with the coastal areas that have voted today. And as per 3 p.m., the voter turnout has been so poor, it's barely 50% on an average in the urban pockets of Karnataka. And that's what we've been stressing on, that there is urban apathy, and it's quite intense. Karnataka is no different even in 2019. And now, if I could take you through some of the constituencies, be it Bangalore Central, that's where I'm at right now, right in front of Vidhan Sauda, barely 40.1%. 40% is really nothing. That's below average as of 3 p.m. We see Bengaluru North, that's registered at 41.1%. Bengaluru Rural at 49.6%. Bengaluru South, which is, you have all the, educated, high-profile people in Bengaluru South, that's barely registered at 41%. Bengaluru South at 40%, Bengaluru North at 41%. So these are the numbers in areas of Bengaluru. But when you step out a little, when you're looking at Dakshina Kannada, Udupi Chikmagaluru, these are Mandya as well, fared slightly better, up to 57% in areas like Mandya, Dakshina Kannada, and Udupi Chikmagaluru. I'm going to cut across though to all the reactions that's coming in from Karnataka itself. The star celebrity faces who came out right early in the day to cast their vote and set that precedence, urging voters to follow the same.
My request to the people of Karnataka is, you have a greatest opportunity. We are celebrating the festival of democracy. The country needed a change. You should be a part of the change.
So what is your request to the youngsters who have not come out and voted till because of scorching heat or something else?
They will come. They will come. I appeal to all of them, don't waste your vote. Please come and vote for the Congress party. You should not lose your franchise. You should vote. This is what the Congress party has given you, the big strength, giving you democracy. You should make use of this democracy.
Yes, it can be a hot day for Bengaluru, but it is worth coming out. Choose your time, come, please come, do vote. India needs every vote. I was also very happy to see a lot of one-time voters, the first-time voters, first-time voters who were here. I stood with them, had some pictures clicked. The enthusiasm among the senior citizens and enthusiasm among the young, the first-time voters is very encouraging.
How do you see the polling percentage across the city today?
People are coming out in enthusiastic numbers, but I see less young people and more senior citizens in queues. We young people must get inspired from the commitment that senior citizens are showing towards our responsibility, our democracy. They must come in big numbers. I think the average right now is around 20-22% everywhere. It should have ideally been around 30-35% by now. We should at least aim for 70% polling. Without voting, you cannot make a difference in democracy. That's the only way you can register your voice. So I request everybody to please come out and vote in big numbers.
मैम आज आपने वोट किया है, क्या मांग है वोटर्स के लिए अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग?
मैं मांग रखी हूँ सब वोटर्स को, पहली बार वोटर्स को, ये चुनाव एक ईमानदारी नेता को बड़ा प्रधान बनाने का चुनाव है। ये चुनाव देश का रक्षा का बारे में सोचने वाला चुनाव है। ये चुनाव देश का विकास का चुनाव है। इसीलिए जरूर आप मतदान केंद्र आइए, मतदान कीजिए, ये आपका अधिकार है। एंड आप प्रजातंत्र व्यवस्था के एक उत्सव के रीति मनाने वाले हैं, इसीलिए जरूर आप आइए मतदान कीजिए।
Okay, so you heard all the candidates, of course, urging people to vote. But believe me, there was a hectic campaign that was launched by the BJP and the Congress alike, leading to this very day. We're looking at prominent faces whose fate will be sealed on this day. In fact, to talk about the region here, the 14 seats that are going to elections, we know that the BJP is quite strong in the coastal areas and some parts of southern Karnataka. But the Congress is quite strong in southern Karnataka. Barring Bengaluru, they're quite strong in the surrounding areas. The BJP is, of course, hoping to ride on the JDS's popularity in the Vokkaliga-dominated holds that aligns with Mandya, Hassan, Tumkuru, Mysuru. These are the areas that JDS has prominence, which the BJP is trying to bank on. Now, they've come into an alliance together. In the 2019 elections, in the 14 seats that Karnataka is going to elections now, the BJP managed to win 11 seats. There was one independent. There was one seat that was won by the JDS. That was H.D. Kumaraswamy's nephew, Prajwal Revanna, had won from Hassan. He won that one JDS Lok Sabha seat. And that independent that I mentioned was Sumalata, who was again backed by the BJP itself from Mandya. And the Congress, the one and only seat that the Congress won in the entire state of Karnataka in 2019 was D.K. Shivkumar's brother, D.K. Suresh, in Bengaluru Rural. Apart from that, a sweeping victory for the BJP with 11 seats. So we know that the BJP won on the name of Modi. There was an intense Modi wave here in 2019. In Karnataka as well as it was in different other parts of the country. But is that Modi wave, will that Modi wave or does that Modi wave have an effect even in 2024? Of course, we'll know only on the 4th of June, but the Congress at this time is really hoping to swing with that momentum of their assembly victory. They've won a whopping 136 seats in the assembly segment. The elections that happened in 2023. So they're hoping that they're going to be upping their tally significantly this time. Now the JDS and the BJP have come together. They are a strong unit. Their vote share, JDS's vote share is significant enough for the BJP to ride on. But let me take you through a few candidates that are significant, prominent for both the BJP and the Congress. Taking you through the list of candidates here, we're looking at, to start with, of course, Tejasvi Surya, who's a Yuva Morcha president for the BJP. He's quite a strong candidate and a face. Shobha Karandlaje, for that matter, she is with the BJP, was part of the Udupi Chikmagaluru. She was an incumbent in Udupi Chikmagaluru, Union Minister of State. She's been now moved after stiff resistance in Udupi Chikmagaluru. She was moved to Bengaluru North constituency. Remember Sadananda Gowda in Bengaluru North, he was a former Chief Minister of Karnataka as well, was really hoping to be repeated by the BJP, but it appears they decided to replace him with Shobha. He has not been seen extensively campaigning for Shobha Karandlaje. Apart from that, I did mention Tejasvi Surya, who's up against Soumya Reddy in Bengaluru South. Tejasvi Surya seeking another term, and you had Annamalai extensively campaigning for Tejasvi Surya as well. So the youth factor and the BJP, in the name of Modi, the two youths there campaigning hectically was really a sight to watch out for in Bengaluru South. Apart from that, of course, we know Bengaluru Rural, we have D.K. Suresh, who is D.K. Shivkumar's brother. brother. He has won elections twice over. He's seeking the third term. He is a strong candidate there. He's up against also a strong candidate now, but a fresher, Manjunath, son-in-law of Deve Gowda of the JDS. He's standing on a BJP ticket. And yeah, there you have it. Strong leaders coming in. H.D. Kumaraswamy also is debuting from Mandya this time, this Lok Sabha elections. Now, let me cut across to a bunch of the celebrities who came by and cast their vote right in the morning. You had Sudeep, you had Yash, multiple stars, Prakash Raj, Rahul Dravid, who cast your vote, Sudha Murthy, Narayan Murthy, who gave out this advice that if you do not vote, you can't complain. Why every vote only strengthens the nation, and you must show your commitment. Here's what they said.
Here in Bengaluru, what is the message for Bengalurians and all the South Bengaluru?
Everyone will say the same thing. Please come out, vote, express what's in your mind, and choose your leaders.
And what is the issue that Sudha Murthy looks at? Is it the candidate, the party? What does Sudha Murthy look at?
I always look at the stable government. Government which will work, which will help poor people. That's always in my mind.
And usually people, because it's summer, don't turn out and it's a long weekend.
Summer you go for a hiking, summer you go for cold places. And can you not do for your country once in 5 years? You should be conscious about your country, what do you want, and what do you want to tell your leaders. So you should come out and once in 5 years, not every day.
What is the message for Bengalurians?
Well, today is a very happy day. Today we should all be enthusiastic to exercise the power given by our Constitution to choose whatever candidate that we want to govern us for the next 5 years. Therefore, we must all be very happy, enthusiastic, and energetic to take care, to handle this extraordinary power given by our democracy.
It is a big day. Anything for the betterment of there are, of course, you said a lot of issues. It's not just about the rich and the richest over here. There are people who are suffering with a lot of things, and I hope I opens up. See, voting is a hope, sir. It is not an assurance. Voting is a hope. And we are doing that for many years.
So your message to the young voters today, sir?
Yeah, I really request everyone to come and vote. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. We are given a great opportunity in our great country to be able to exercise our right to vote. The arrangements are fantastic. Everyone is looking after us very well here. Everything is very smooth and peaceful. So please, everyone is very smooth and peaceful. So please come out here and vote. It will be fantastic. Bangalore should create a record this time. Thank you.
All right, well, we heard all those faces from Karnataka, but just a quick reminder for our viewers, as of 5 p.m., the numbers have just come in. Voter turnout for Karnataka as of now is 63.9%. So that's a slight progress from what it was, 50% at 3 p.m. You still have about an hour to go cast your vote. I request you to do so. Please up your numbers, show your commitment to strengthen this nation. Preeti Chaudhary brings us a lot more from the studio.
All right, Nabila there getting us the latest in terms of reactions. But let's quickly turn to the election intelligence dashboard and get a basic check on what do the turnout numbers look like till about 3 p.m. That's what we have. So a quick look at the turnout. And it's a comparison since 2004. But mind you, viewers, you've got to look at it because the 51% turnout on these 14 seats is only till 3 p.m. And what you're looking from 2004 all the way down to 2019 concurrently is a cumulative figure till voting stopped. So, not bad. 51%, it's bound to go up. This is a number at 3 p.m. once again. Another hour of voting left and it will definitely go up. Many suggest, especially where seats in Bengaluru are concerned, they voted a lot better than the last time around. I'm going to go back to Nabila to get us the latest right now from Karnataka. Nabila, what does it look like? Another hour left. A quick look at the voter turnout. What does it mean, Nabila? Because back in the north, it means that, or, traditional psephology would suggest that it means if the voting percentage is falling, it's possibly not the best thing for the BJP. But that's traditional psephology. I believe, what is it conferred to? That side of the Vindhyas. What does it mean? High voter turnout, what does it mean?
Right. You know the irony here, Preeti. And like you rightly said, when there's lower voter turnout, it usually, at least the trend you see across the country is what it affects the BJP harder. But the irony here in Karnataka has been different. The urban pockets of Karnataka, that's Bengaluru and the surrounding areas, largely has been bent towards the BJP, and they love Modi. And I've heard voices across different parts of Bengaluru city and the urban pockets. And the voter turnout is the worst here. Even now, up until 3 p.m., we're looking at voter turnout of barely 40%, 41% in Bangalore Central. That's where I'm at. So you have the most elite, the most educated, eloquent people who live and reside around these areas, who have so many opinions on how they envision the nation. Unfortunately, when it comes down to vote, they're absent. So we're looking at 40% in Bangalore Central, 40%, 41% in Bangalore South, 41% in Bangalore North. Bangalore Rural is slightly better with 49%. This is up to 3 p.m. The slightly distant districts like Mangaluru, Dakshina Kannada has fared a lot better. But all in all, we're looking at 63.9% overall in Karnataka as of 5 p.m., which is far better. Another hour to go. We're really hoping that people show commitment and increase those numbers before the end of polling day. Akshita, over to you. Bring us more from Karnataka.
Nabil, I'm just going to come back to you. There's a news break that's coming in right now of the Bengaluru South candidate of the BJP, Tejaswi Surya, being booked. Now, the Karnataka Chief Electoral Commissioner has confirmed that a case has been booked against Tejaswi Surya for posting a video and soliciting votes on the grounds of religion. Nabila, what's this all about?
Right. What we know as of now is that Tejaswi Surya, Bengaluru South MP, has allegedly sought votes on religious grounds. He's basically put out a video on his Twitter profile. He's posted a video soliciting votes on the ground of religion. That's precisely the complaint against him that's been filed at the Jayanagar police station in Bengaluru. In fact, at this point, Tejaswi Surya has responded saying this is only the frustration of the Congress party. They feel that they know that they're losing, which is why they are filing complaints against me. But you have Soumya Reddy who's been fielded against him. But it appears that this video has really triggered a large chunk of people, especially the Congress party, where he's put out a video that hails the Hindu religion, of course, upholding Hindutva, etc. And in the name of religion, Ram Mandir, etc., he's seeking for votes. Now, this is model code of conduct that's in place, Akshita. It's a clear violation if you look at it in that sense. And a complaint has been filed against him as well. We've got to see if the Election Commission really comes forward and takes action. What kind of, how are they going to reprimand Tejaswi Surya for this violation of model code of conduct remains to be seen. The video is out there on social media platforms. It's on our television as well.
Yeah, all right. Thanks very much, Nabila, for joining us and getting us a roundup of all the political action from South Karnataka. 14 seats there that are polling as we speak. All right, we've told you all about Kerala. We've told you all about Karnataka. Let's now focus on Uttar Pradesh. Of the 80 seats, 8 seats are polling today in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the BJP of these 8 seats had 7, the BSP won, which was Amroha. You had Danish Ali there, who's now switched over to the Congress. So this makes for a very interesting battle in Amroha. But besides that, seats like Mathura, like Meerut, where you've got Arun Govil, who's the famed actor who's played Lord Ram in Ramayan. He's been fielded for the first time by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mahesh Sharma from Gautam Budh Nagar, which is Noida, also in this particular phase. His fate is being sealed as we speak. We'll talk about the voter turnout also in Noida, which has been rather poor. Hema Malini, actor, politician from Mathura, seeking her 3rd term as Member of Parliament from the holy town of Mathura. So these are some of the faces that you need to know about in Uttar Pradesh. Let's take this across now to Pooja Shali. She's joining us live from Meerut, getting us a roundup of all that you need to know from Uttar Pradesh. Pooja, good evening. It's over to you.
Akshata, thank you very much. And I can tell you that it's been quite a theatric development really specifically for Uttar Pradesh. And I would say because I'm in Meerut, Hapur constituency, it has been interesting because when we started in the morning, it was about 10 to 12%. I barely saw crowds at the polling booth, but then it picked up. And how? I can now tell you, according to latest information coming in, that at about 5 p.m., the latest update I have according to my sources, 56.57% of voter turnout, out of which it's been a very close one with regard to men and women. It's been almost a similar sort of a margin, but 57% almost as it looks like, but because we'll wait for another 1 hour. So this looks like very similar to how it was the previous one phase as well, which was about 60%. So Uttar Pradesh is just over 50% of confirmation of the participation that's coming in. But what a day it has been. 88 seats that go to polls today, 8 seats out of Uttar Pradesh, which anyway send about 80 Lok Sabha members of parliament. Most crucial, why was it important for Meerut, for Aligarh, for Mathura? BJP has been able to maintain a strong bastion here, which also means that a visible large Muslim population in these areas have been voting earlier also for BJP candidates. And today also I can tell you that while there was no Muslim candidate, a prominent one from the Alliance or the BJP for Meerut Hapur, but there was a large section of members of the Muslim community who came out to vote. And could that become a deciding factor as well? So BJP's Arun Govil on one side, then we have BSP's Devrat Tyagi and Samajwadi Party Congress, which is the Alliance. That has come out with regard to Sunita Verma. Listen into the reactions now. What did MP Hema Malini say? A hopeful MP, Arun Govil, I spoke to him early this morning, and other leaders in Uttar Pradesh seats.
I am very confident. My whole party is very confident. My whole entire, my workers, हमारे कार्यकर्ता लोगों ने इतना काम किया है. So I am very confident. So, and I have done a lot of good work in this place, which I feel very proud of doing things. Which many people who were a Sansad here could not do it.
हमने वो देखा भी है कि 10 सालों में मथुरा और वृंदावन की तस्वीर बिल्कुल बदल गई है. वो अथॉरिटी बनाने से लेके जो यहाँ का क्षेत्र है, पिलग्रिमेज का क्षेत्र, उसमें बहुत बड़ा फर्क आया है. तो वो मोदी योगी फैक्टर के तौर पे आप देखती हैं, अपनी परफॉर्मेंस के तौर पे देखती हैं, कैसा देखती हैं?
All three, because Modi ji is there, Yogi ji is there, because of them I am able to do it. If some other party and then I am a Sansad here, I don't think. Then you can blame me कि आपने कुछ नहीं किया, तो मैं बोल सकती हूँ मैं कुछ कर नहीं सकती हूँ. अभी मैं कर सकती हूँ, तो मैं कर रही हूँ. तो that is why they have given me another 5 years. So I am very happy that whatever the work, see यहाँ पे it's a never-ending process to develop. Development means it is such an interesting job. As a woman, I feel कितना मजा आ रहा है ना, कितना कुछ कर सकते हैं हम. लेकिन हम जो सोचते हैं फटाफट वो कर नहीं सकते हैं. Then you need lot of people involved in this, any development. उसमें आगे पीछे थोड़ा देर होती है.
प्रक्रिया आप कह रही हैं.
मेरे साथ मौजूद हैं मेरठ से कैंडिडेट अरुण गोविल, जिनको हम ऑफ कोर्स जानते हैं श्री राम के किरदार में, लेकिन जिस तरह उन्होंने उस इमेज को बनाए रखा और अब नेता बनने के लिए भी तैयार हैं. आपका मेरठ से कोई नाता नया तो नहीं है, यही पैदा हुए हैं, पले बड़े हैं. मेरठ का लड़का आज वोट देने नहीं, वोट मांगने के लिए लोगों से रेडी है. किस तरह का ये मूड, आप सेंटिमेंट फील करते हैं अपने लिए आज जब आप नेता बन के यहाँ आए हैं मेरठ?
मुझे बहुत अच्छा पॉजिटिव जो रिस्पांस मिला है वो बहुत पॉजिटिव है. जैसे यहाँ के लोग बताते हैं कि पिछले चुनावों में जो इस बार हुआ है, जिस तरह से लोग बाहर निकले हैं रैलीज में और रोड शोज में, वैसा कभी यहाँ पहले कभी नहीं हुआ था. इस तरह का जो लिटरली जुनून है लोगों में, तो ये बहुत एक पॉजिटिव साइन है.
आपका श्री राम का किरदार होना, राम मंदिर बनना, आपको लगता है ये कहीं ना कहीं ये कनेक्ट बैठा है मेरठ के लोगों के लिए यहाँ पर?
ये कनेक्ट तो पूरे देश के लिए है बेसिकली, और क्योंकि मैं यहाँ हूँ तो डेफिनेटली ये कनेक्ट होगा जरूर.
रामायण सीरियल से और आर्टिकल 370 तक ऑडियंस से तो आपने कनेक्ट बना लिया. मेरठ के लोगों के लिए एज अ नेता आप मानते हैं कितना कनेक्ट बना है, बनेगा, और अपने ऊपर किस तरह की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आप देखते हैं?
नहीं, कनेक्ट देखिए एज नेता तो मुझे नहीं पता, मैं नेता हूँ भी कि नहीं वो मुझे नहीं पता है.
तो कैसे आप आगे इसको ले जाएंगे?
नहीं, अब आगे देखिए, किसी भी चीज़ के लिए हम जो भी जनप्रतिनिधि होते हैं वो किस काम के लिए होते हैं? वो ये होते हैं कि उस स्थान की जो समस्याएं होती हैं, जो प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, या उस स्थान का जो विकास होता है उसमें अपनी सहभागिता दें। तो बस उसी तरह से काम हो।
एक सवाल ये है कि प्रधानमंत्री के जो भाषण को लेकर के बड़े सवाल उठ रहे हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री ने जिस तरीके का भाषण किया कि महिलाओं के मंगलसूत्र तक कांग्रेस पहुंच जाएगी, वेल्थ रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होगा। आपको लगता है कि ये भाषण प्रधानमंत्री ने जो दिया है वो ठीक है और कुछ इस तरह की बातें हैं?
ये तो उनको आज़ादी है ना, और मैं कौन हूँ जो कहूँ ठीक और गलत। चुनाव आयोग देखेगा, नियम के तहत उन्होंने अपनी बात रखी और उनके एक हक बनता है। देश को उन्होंने संदेश दिया और आगाह किया है कि क्या खतरे देश के सामने आ सकते हैं।
All right, so now let us tell you what Uttar Pradesh is looking like. Let me just take you back to 2019. Of the 8 seats of the second phase this time, 7 have been won by the Bharatiya Janata Party repeatedly. 1 went to the Bahujan Samaj Party. That's the reason BSP has made this a three-cornered contest, not joining the India Alliance this time as well and fielding their candidates. Now, who will it help? Will it help the BSP? Could it help the BJP and cut votes for the Congress SP? Because Congress SP, out of these 8 seats, have not had a leader as a representative elected to the parliament. Let me bring you the key candidates who, through the day, have either been hopeful and have been going across the booths. Now, of course, where I am reporting from, Meerut Hapur constituency, it's a large constituency. It had been a bastion of the BJP last 3 times, won by Rajendra Agarwal, but this time was fielded Arun Ram Govil, as I call him, because he has been known as the character of Lord Ram that he has played in Ramayan, has been a known actor, and he's got that ticket. So he's not a Neta, but he's born and brought up in Meerut. So he knows Meerut and he's hopeful he will ride on the Modi-Ram factor. But against him is Samajwadi Party and BSP, three-corner contest. So that is one of the big candidates. Then let's go across to Gautam Budh Nagar. Noida, as we also call it. Mahesh Sharma again has repeatedly been able to win as a member of parliament. But will it be again an easy sale for him this time? Or could an anti-incumbency come to face Mahesh Sharma? Or will the Modi factor help him too? And third, let's go across to Mathura. Because Mathura, again, similar to Meerut, how an actor face has come in, was an actor face, an artist face. That was Hema Malini. Many thought if she may not get a ticket this time, but she was fielded. She was fielded and she's hopeful that it's because of the work that she has done earlier. So these are some of the few candidates. She's, of course, against the anchor of the Congress party. So remains to be seen who people will choose as their leader in the parliament for the next 5 years. And from Uttar Pradesh, big news coming in. And that's Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath charging at the Congress party. Remember the speculation rife for Amethi, Rai Bareli, and whether if the Gandhi siblings take the plunge, could they visit Ayodhya? Could they want to take blessings from the Ram temple? To which Yogi Adityanath has said that the siblings or the family, the party that even denied the existence of Lord Ram, that did not appreciate the Ram temple, are today wanting the blessings. That he's basically taunting them and saying those who once said that Ram never existed are now seeking blessings. In many ways also, the BJP, Yogi Adityanath, are attempting to say what the BJP has achieved and is what is being now taken forward by the Congress party as well. So that's what Yogi Adityanath has said with regard to the Gandhi siblings.
मैंने सुना है कि भाई और बहन दोनों अयोध्या दर्शन करने के लिए जाना चाहते हैं। जब इनकी सरकार थी तब कहते थे कि राम तो हुए ही नहीं। क्या कहते थे? राम हुए ही नहीं। और जब देश की जनता जनार्दन के संघर्ष के फलस्वरूप माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय के फैसले के क्रम में मोदी जी के प्रयास से आपके एक एक वोट की कीमत में अयोध्या में रामलला को फिर से विराजमान कर दिया है और मंदिर भव्य बन गया है। अब कहते हैं राम तो सबके हैं। देखो ना इनके दोहरे चरित्र को, कभी विश्वास मत करना। ये लोग धोखा देंगे, जब भी इनको अवसर मिलेगा ये लोग धोखा देंगे।
So on that note, as I wrap up this bulletin, the time getting wrapped up is also with regard to the polling. It's going to finish and seal the fate. 88 seats, about 91 to 100 candidates on which people have cast their vote, deciding the future of themselves, their families and the country for the next 5 years. Thank you so much for watching, and on behalf of my colleagues coming in from Kerala, Karnataka and across the country and tracking every latest bit, thank you for watching. Stay tuned to India Today.